My husband once made me a promise. Should he ever betray me, he would be cursed with no descendants, his family fortune ruined, and a miserable death. On the very day he resolved to take his distant cousin as a secondary wife, he truly fell ill below the waist, rendered incapable of consummating the marriage. It was the start of winter, with drums and gongs blaring outside in festive celebration. Yet I, his lawful wife, was locked in the woodshed, starved for a day and night, without a drop of water, simply because my husband feared I would disrupt the wedding. He personally dragged me by my long hair and forcibly confined me. His cold words still ring in my ears. Lu Xiang, my cousin's marriage is connected to the Deputy Minister of Revenue through nepotism. This concerns my future prospects. You must not cause trouble. A chill ran through my entire body, freezing me from the soles of my feet to the core of my heart. Even the frost-covered straw felt warmer than the icy coldness within me. After an unknown length of time, the main door creaked open. A biting draft swept through the hallway, lifting a corner of my thin robe. My body shuddered violently, and I snapped my eyes open, only to meet two blinding flashes of red. The visitors were none other than my husband, Jiang Qinlin, and his distant cousin, Song Wan. The first thing Jiang Qinlin did upon seeing me was not show concern, but deliver a cold interrogation. Lu Xiang, do you know you're wrong? Had you not been so consumed by jealousy, forbidding me to marry Wan Wan, would I have treated you this way? I parted my chapped lips, pointing at the jade pendant at his waist. Jiang Qinlin, you swore an oath. If you betrayed me, I'd make you barren, your family ruined, and you'd die a miserable death. That jade pendant is our token of promise. What the man didn't know was that I was a lucky coin of fortune. To repay a debt of gratitude, I took human form, became his wife, and lent him my fortune. That's how the penniless scholar became today's formidable fifth-rank gentleman. But while others could borrow my fortune to rise to prominence, they had to keep their word. Otherwise, they would suffer the backlash of that fortune and meet the same fate as their broken vows. And that jade pendant was the witness to the heavenly way. Jiang Qinlin's gaze drifted, and he turned his head away. Song Wan's eyes twinkled as she covered her mouth, her expression innocent and pitiful. Cousin, it's all my fault. My heart truly belongs to you. That's why a rift formed between you and my sister. But today is our joyous wedding day, and she dares speak such inauspicious words. I don't mind, but I fear this marriage to ward off misfortune won't end well. The guilt in Jiang Qinlin's eyes instantly turned to fury as he glared at me. Lu Xiang, had you not been so ill-fated, repeatedly struck by misfortune, unworthy of the title of fifth-rank imperial consort, how could I have broken my promise? The master said this wedding ritual would purge your ill fortune, preventing your untimely demise. Yet you, a mere country bumpkin, show no gratitude. He snatched the jade pendant from his waist, hurled it to the ground, and turned to leave. Song Wan pulled him back. Cousin, don't be angry. Sister simply loves you too much. That's why she lost her composure for a moment. Jiang Qinlin glanced back at me. Lu Xiang, you should learn from Wan Wan. Such broad-mindedness, that is the bearing befitting a lady of the house. I ignored them both, staring fixedly at the shattered jade pendant. Jiang Qinlin, do you truly intend to break your promise? The man's face darkened completely, his expression turning cruel. Lu Xiang, since you insist on clinging to this, then don't blame me for making you understand clearly. Wan Wan and I are about to consummate our marriage. You will wait outside the door until we call for water. As he finished speaking, I coughed up a mouthful of blood. The golden light within my womb instantly dissipated. Truthfully, even if I lent my fortune to another, I wouldn't have suffered such utter misfortune. But humans and demons walk separate paths. To bear Jiang Qinglin's heir, I incurred heavenly retribution. And now, that child who should have been blessed with boundless fortune. Because of Jiang Qinglin's betrayal, it all turned to nothing. The man frowned. Lu Xiang, what trick are you trying to pull now? A gentleman's word is as binding as a chariot of 4 horses. I won't revoke your punishment just because you play the victim. I gave a bitter smile. The pallor of my face starkly contrasted against the vivid red on the floor. Jiang Qinlin, you truly are a heartless bastard. Jiang Qinlin sneered coldly, forcing a maid's uniform onto me while warning in a hushed voice. Lu Xiang, you're a mere orphaned girl, utterly useless to me. I haven't cast you off only because of past affection. Keep your veil on. Don't let others see the proper wife reduced to this. Or they'll call me heartless. Behave yourself. Follow us closely. And I might spare you some dignity. Songwon flashed me a defiant smile before linking her arm through the man's. Cousin, it's time for us to consummate our union. Jiang Qinlin's lips curved into a faint smile. The eyes that once gazed at me with deep affection now held nothing but frivolity. Cousin. Your cousin is about to consummate your marriage. The man scooped the woman into his arms and strode out impatiently. I suppressed my hatred. My gaze fixed on the man's abdomen. There. A dark cloud of energy swirled. Since the vow is broken, this curse of barrenness shall surely come to pass. I watched them enter the house. 2 silhouettes on the gauze windows soon became one tangled mass. My gaze grew unfocused, suddenly recalling the past. Jiang Qinlin and I had once shared days as sweet as honey. Though poor then, he treated me with utmost kindness. My skin was delicate, so he chased away mosquitoes for me daily. I loved soaking my feet, so he sought out a physician to learn about foot reflexology. When I casually remarked how beautiful the orchids were, he taught himself gardening to cultivate them for me. Even every night, he would tirelessly whisper in my ear, Lu Xiang, I, Jiang Qinlin, swear to grow old with only you this lifetime. Back then, I felt certain I hadn't chosen wrongly. I even wished time could freeze. But who could have known hearts change so easily? Through my good fortune, he passed the imperial examinations and entered officialdom, rising steadily through the ranks. As his position grew, his gaze toward me grew disdainful, and his words grew increasingly cutting. He spoke daily of how his colleague, though mediocre in talent, had been swiftly promoted by 1 rank thanks to his father-in-law's backing. As for me, a country woman of humble origins, unable to aid his career, I was no better than useless. I thought he was simply under too much pressure and needed an outlet. So I didn't confront him. Instead, I quietly managed everything behind the scenes to ensure his career path remained smooth. I kept telling myself that if Jiang Qinlin could climb higher, these thoughts would fade. But how could I have known he would only grow more brazen? Until finally, he even entertained the idea of taking another wife. A scream echoed from inside the house. My eyelid twitched as I saw the front door burst open. Jiang Qinlin stormed out, his face dark with fury. Just as he was about to step over me, he suddenly halted and lashed out, slapping me hard across the face. Lu Xiang, it's all your fault for making that damn vow. I came too quickly just now, are you satisfied? You're nothing but a jinxed, unlucky thing. His distorted, vicious face momentarily overlapped with the doting expression of the past, only to shatter into fragments. I clutched my swollen cheek, my eyes filled with sorrow. Jiang Qinlin, are you truly going to be so heartless? Jiang Qinlin's eyes froze for a moment, then turned cold and indifferent. Lu Xiang, if you hadn't ruined my mood today, how could I have been so humiliated? You dare to turn the tables on me. He kicked me in the stomach and walked away without looking back. The pain made me curl into a ball. In that moment, I understood clearly. The Jiang Qinlin who once cherished me beyond measure had perished completely in the power struggles. If that was the case, I no longer wanted this man. I wanted this faithless man to suffer worse than death for breaking his promise. The next day, a servant notified me early to attend the tea ceremony. I entered the main hall. My mother-in-law sat in the seat of honor. Eyes narrowed, fingering the sandalwood bracelet I'd purchased at great expense from a revered monk. She didn't glance my way. I pressed my lips together and sat beside her. Jiang Qinlin arrived shortly with Song Wan. At their entrance, my mother-in-law's expression shifted. She rose, grasped the woman's hand, and beamed. Wan Wan, did you rest well last night? Song Wan forced a smile, glancing at the man's uneasy expression before replying. Very well. My mother-in-law's face darkened as she shot me a glance. I heard about yesterday's incident. Lu Xiang, you are still just a country girl at heart. A bit too narrow-minded. I don't think it's appropriate for you to retain control of the household affairs. Wan Wan comes from a scholarly family, and the matrons in her clan have already trained her in household management. So, from now on, she will oversee the kitchen affairs. Jiang Qinlin chimed in. Lu Xiang, you were indeed in the wrong yesterday. I don't mind, but you owe my cousin an explanation. I clenched my handkerchief. The Jiang family's enterprises have been entirely under my management, bringing in a fortune daily. By my reckoning, we now own 3 shops in the Eastern City District and 5 estates in the suburbs. Especially the shops, they're in the most prime locations in the capital. Priceless treasures. All this is the fruit of my labor. Yet now, this mother and son who've never lifted a finger want to reap the rewards. I sneered coldly. You've turned the world upside down. How can a concubine ever run the household? The words had barely left my mouth. My mother-in-law's face twisted, and she suddenly slapped me across the face. Lu Xiang, we've already given you a way out. Do you really think you're someone important? I stared at the old woman in shock. Back when she was gravely ill, lying on her deathbed, had I not extracted my own heart's blood for her medicine, she would have been in a coffin long ago. Even so, due to her shallow blessings, I endured the agony of cutting open my own heart, feeding her my blood every few days to keep her clinging to life. That the old woman showed no gratitude was one thing, but to treat me thus. Truly, they are cut from the same cloth. The callousness of this mother and son is carved from the same mold. Before I could retaliate, Song Wan suddenly clutched her handkerchief and retched. Her mother-in-law hurried to support her. Wan Wan, you're already 2 months pregnant. You should rest properly. Perhaps you should step back from household duties. The woman flashed me a defiant smile, her voice feigning weakness. Auntie, I'm fine. Though I carry my cousin's child, I still wish to contribute to this household. Jiang Qinlin gripped the woman's hand, deeply moved. With a wife like this, what more could a husband ask for? I ignored their little play, staring only at the woman's belly, my heart twisting in agony. 2 months ago, to stabilize the fetus in my womb, I nearly died from divine retribution. Though I barely survived the backlash, I was left clinging to life by a thread. Yet on that very day, my husband was committing adultery and secretly conceiving a child. Bloodshot veins flared in my eyes as murderous intent churned within me. My mother-in-law flinched under my glare, yet put on a false show of sternness. Lu Xiang, since ancient times, bearing no heir is the greatest offense. I haven't even blamed you for failing to bear an heir. Yet you dare harbor resentment in your heart. Were it not for past affection, I would have had my son divorce you long ago. My entire body trembled, but I forced myself to endure. Finally, I took a deep breath and suppressed my rage. My millennia of cultivation need not be destroyed for breaking the killing precept. I retrieved the storeroom key and placed it on the table. Here, Since you desire it, I shall magnanimously grant it to you. Only hope your fortune is sufficient to bear such a great gift. Song Wan's face twisted with greed as she snatched it away. Mother-in-law and Jiang Qinglin stood guard before the woman, alert. I watched the sudden darkening of the wealth palace on the man's face and sneered inwardly. The moment Song Wan took the keys, signs of financial loss appeared on Jiang Qinglin. So it seems his cousin isn't someone to be trifled with after all. I swept my sleeve and left. As I passed Jiang Qinglin, the man sneered at me. Lu Xiang, I'll give you credit for knowing your place. A woman showing her face in public is already improper. If you don't find it shameful, I certainly do. The moment the words left his mouth, he let out a sudden, agonized howl. He clutched his abdomen desperately, cold sweat pouring from his forehead. His mother-in-law started to approach him, but her breath caught abruptly. Her rosy cheeks drained of color. I had anticipated this outcome. Both Jiang Qinglin and his mother-in-law had once received my kindness. According to the impartial laws of heaven, the harsher they treated me, the faster the backlash would strike. Chaos soon erupted throughout the mansion. Only when I received further news did I learn the man had developed a hernia. Now, excruciating abdominal pain made even walking impossible. I thought they might finally show some restraint. Little did I know this family's callousness far exceeded my imagination. Just as the man's condition began to improve slightly, Jiang Qinlin arrived at the doorstep with a Taoist priest in tow. The priest held a compass, looking quite the part. This place is cursed. Someone has used witchcraft, causing misfortune to befall your household. I glanced at the Taoist priest and knew at a glance he was nothing but a fraud, a swindler and a con artist. Jiang Qinlin shot me a look and bowed his hands. Please enlighten me, master. The Taoist stroked his beard and strode purposefully toward my bed. I crossed my arms and watched coldly, eager to see what tricks this man would pull. Soon, he pulled 3 voodoo dolls from beneath my mattress. Each doll was pierced with silver needles, inscribed with the names Jiang Qinglin, Song Wan, and Song Huaisa. Jiang Qinlin gasped in shock, his voice sharp as he confronted me. Lu Xiang, you have a heart of pure venom. My mother-in-law and Song Wan, who had just arrived, initially wore composed expressions. But upon seeing me, their faces twisted into something else entirely. My mother-in-law wailed, beating her chest. Report it to the authorities. We must report this. What sin has our Jiang family committed to deserve such a black-hearted creature? Song Wan covered her face and sobbed. Sister, I know you're distressed about losing your authority over the household, but you can't curse us like this. I watched this farce unfold silently before speaking in a hoarse voice. Go on. What do you want? Jiang Qinlin blurted out almost instinctively. I want to demote you to a concubine and elevate my cousin to the position of primary wife. Seeming to realize his own greed was too unsightly, the man turned his face away. Lu Xiang, you know, since my cousin has taken charge of the household, she must have a status beyond reproach. I stared at the man's brow, which darkened further. Very well. Jiang Qinlin, as you wish. Jiang Qinlin pressed his lips together, hesitating before speaking. Since you are now a concubine, you should reside in the side courtyard. This is the place for the main wife. I finally understood the man's true intentions. So he found my origins too lowly to grace his eyes. He intended to drive me out completely. A metallic taste filled my mouth. Yet I offered no rebuttal. Silently gathering my belongings, I departed for the side courtyard. Barely had I left when a scream pierced the air from within. Qinlin, my son, why is there so much blood flowing from your lower body? Physician, physician, quickly summon the physician. I arrived at the side courtyard. I glanced toward the sky above the main hall. Above, crimson and black swirled together, The red aura of official fortune was being voraciously devoured by black mist, a clear sign of impending disaster. I had barely settled into the side courtyard when the peace was shattered. One night, I heard movement outside. Someone lifted the paper window and inserted a bamboo tube, blowing air inside. I sniffed lightly. Having been in the trade for years, I instantly recognized it as the love potion commonly used in brothels. I moved silently to the door, a stick clenched in my hand. This potion was potent and vicious, reputed to make even the most virtuous woman shatter her own memorial arch. Had this happened earlier, when my magical powers were weakened by carrying a child, I might have fallen victim instantly. But since I ceased defying heaven's way, coupled with Jiang Qinglin's betrayal, my cultivation had recovered to 50% of my prime. This potion had no effect whatsoever on me. The main door swung open swiftly. A guard with a face covered in pus-filled sores crept in furtively. Without a moment's hesitation, I struck him unconscious, grabbed a rope, and bound the villain tightly. Just as I finished everything, a bright orange glow flared outside. Through the small hole I'd poked, I saw countless people advancing toward this place, torches raised, and leading them was none other than Jiang Qinglin. My breath caught in my throat. I thought by giving up everything, and out of past affection, this pack of wolves would relent. Little did I know, from the very beginning, my dear husband never intended to let me live. The man stood outside the door, feigning sorrow. Lu Xiang, after over a decade of marriage, you shamelessly meet with another man in secret. Had someone not informed me, I would still be kept in the dark. Guards! Break down the door! The courtyard guards were about to step forward, but I pushed the door open first. I was just about to report to the authorities. A villain broke into my boudoir late at night, intending to commit an indecent act. Little did I expect you, my husband, to arrive at such a convenient moment. Jiang Qinlin's gaze flickered as he saw my immaculate attire. Noticing the man's hesitation, Song Wan spoke up at the perfect moment. Sister, why not let our cousin search the room to prove your innocence? Rumors have been running rampant lately, claiming our cousin is heartless, favoring his concubine while neglecting his wife. Reputation is paramount in the path of officialdom. And now this incident has arisen. Sister, surely you don't wish to sever cousin's career prospects? Jiang Qinlin's throat rolled, the hesitation in his eyes hardening into resolve. Cousin speaks wisely. The man strode inward, lowering his voice as he passed me. Lu Xiang, I never wanted this. But someone spread these rumors, tarnishing my reputation. If you live, I'll never rise again. In the end, I'm the one who failed you. Even though I'd long given up on Jiang Qinglin, hearing his callous words still sent a chill through my heart. In the distance, my mother-in-law raged, cursing me shameless. Song Wan soothed her while shooting me a smug grin, even wiping her throat as an aside. By this point, how could I not understand? Whose handiwork was all this? Jiang Qinglin rushed in, then darted out, stopping at the doorway with fierce intensity. Lu Xiang has committed adultery, violating the principles of propriety. Today, I, Jiang Qinglin, shall execute my duty to eliminate this kinship. Servants, bring the drowning cage. My expression remained impassive as I folded my arms, watching the servants advance toward me. Not a flicker of panic stirred within me. The very moment the man declared my execution, I saw his forehead darken, as if black liquid threatened to seep from his brow. Sure enough, in the next instant, a startled cry erupted. It fell! It fell! Master! Something seems to have fallen out down below. I followed the sound. Jiang Qinlin knelt on the ground, cradling the fallen object, his face as pale as gold paper. Witnessing it all, the mother-in-law's eyes rolled back, and she fainted. I saw clearly that the old woman's diseased palace was ashen gray, clearly. Her days were numbered. Song Won stood frozen in place, as if her soul had been stolen. I glanced at the woman's abdomen. Now that the backlash of misfortune had fully erupted, the prophecy of barrenness should have come to pass. Yet Song Won showed no sign of distress whatsoever. The fetus within her womb, it likely wasn't Jiang Qinglin's seed. I cast a pitying glance at the man before returning indoors and flinging the bound thief out. Gentlemen, observe, this thief is now in my custody. The so-called affair of infidelity is nothing but a baseless rumor. I made a symbolic gesture to clear my name. At that moment, no one paid me any mind. Everyone was in a panic, frozen in place for a long while, seeing the breath of my mother-in-law and Jiang Qinglin growing ever fainter. I couldn't bear to watch. After all, the curse of this family's downfall and untimely deaths hadn't yet come to pass. They couldn't be allowed to escape. What are you all standing around for? Quickly carry the master and the matriarch inside, and summon a doctor. The household bustled in chaos throughout the night. Yet I drifted off to sleep, utterly content. That night, I slept soundly and deeply, my heart filled with peace. When I awoke again, the sun was already high in the sky. After dressing and washing, I made a token visit to the main courtyard to offer my regards. Stepping into the courtyard, I saw Jiang Qinglin lying on a soft cushion, his eyes and brows heavy with sorrow. As for the bed, my mother-in-law lay there, her face deathly pale, her breath faint as a thread. I couldn't suppress the curve of my lips, yet I still put on a show of greeting them both. They paid me no mind, each lost in their own world. I didn't mind. I picked up a cloud-shaped cake and took a bite. So sweet, cloyingly sweet. Sweet right to my heart. I devoured it in no time. Perhaps startled by the noise, the man's vacant eyes suddenly focused. Jiang Qinlin looked at me, his gaze filled with resentment. Lu Xiang, are you satisfied now? I've fulfilled your wish, I've cut off my own line. You're nothing but a curse. I regret marrying you. You worthless woman. I remained calm, sucking my fingers. Finished? If there's nothing else, I should be going. The man's face flushed crimson. The freshly bandaged wound on his abdomen began bleeding again. I hurried forward to help regulate his qi. Calm down. Calm down. If you keep fuming like this, it'll rot completely. How will you ever pass stool then? Jiang Qinlin's qi was disrupted, his chest heaving like a bellows. Unwilling to see him die of rage, I pointed to the elderly woman on the bed. Your mother-in-law isn't dead yet. Do you want her to bury her own child? The man's fiery temper instantly cooled. I offered a timely suggestion. There's a 1,000-year-old ginseng root in the storeroom. Why not have Song Won fetch it for your mother-in-law to consume? At least it might grant this old hag a few more days of life. Her eyes lit up at the words. Quick! Tell Wan Wan to bring it to me. When Song Won arrived at the main courtyard, she looked panicked. Jiang Qinlin sensed something was wrong and spoke uneasily. Song Won, where's the ginseng? The woman forced a smile. Here it is. I looked closely. That wasn't ginseng at all, it was clearly a white radish. Jiang Qinlin flew into a rage. Song Won, do you take me for a child of 3? You must understand, the one lying in that bed is your aunt. Your mother-in-law. Song Won's expression turned timid. The 1,000-year-old ginseng. I sold it. Hearing this, the mother-in-law gasped for breath. Her fury was so intense it somehow summoned strength to lift a finger. You. Song Won, having nothing left to lose, confessed. My younger brother is a gambling addict. As the eldest sister, I act as a mother to him. Though I despise his behavior, I had no choice but to help pay his debts. Jiang Qinlin's face darkened. How much did you spend? Ashamed. Song-won pulled out the red contract. Every last coin our Jiang family saved, and we're still 300 taels in the red. The man's eyes widened as he miraculously sprang to his feet. You ruinous woman. That's my salary from years of service. I'll beat you to death. Jiang Qinlin yanked her collar, poised to strike. Song-won shrieked. Jiang Qinlin, have you forgotten you can no longer walk the path of righteousness? If you beat me to death, the entire Jiang family will be ruined by your hands. The man's face turned alternately pale and purple before he finally dropped his hand in defeat. Then what about me? What about my mother? This physician's fee is no small sum. Song-won was ruthless too. What mother? Didn't she die last night from rage? My heart skipped a beat as I stared in disbelief at the woman's murderous face. The other two in the room reacted just as sharply. Mother-in-law's eyes bulged wide. If looks could kill, she'd have slain Song-won 1,000 times over. What chilled me even more was that after Jiang Qinlin recovered from his shock, he didn't argue. Instead, he hesitated before speaking. Is covering only my expenses enough? Song-won shot me a casual glance, her eyes cold and icy. It's enough. Cousin, you know I have connections through marriage and that person in the Ministry of Revenue. I had no idea what methods Song-won employed, but the household did indeed continue to function, albeit with great difficulty. As for the mother-in-law, she was secretly abandoned in a derelict side chamber, left to fend for herself. I, too, had a soft heart and couldn't bear to see the old woman die so quickly. I slipped into the room, clutching a small piece of ginseng root with its fibrous strands still attached. The stench inside was overwhelming. The usually fastidious old woman had clouded eyes, her breath shallow and labored. Seeing me, she struggled violently. I was considerate too. With a flick of my magic, I turned the root hairs to powder and fed it into her mouth. Her ashen face visibly regained color, but I knew it was only superficial. Her internal organs had long since decayed. Had the ginseng not kept her clinging to life, she would have died tonight. I pinched her jaw, my eyes smiling, yet my heart held no warmth. Mother-in-law, rest here comfortably. Rest assured, I possess ample means to prolong your existence. Have you not always prided yourself on strength, boasting that you guided the Jiang family onto the righteous path, bringing glory to our name? Well then, as your descendant, I'll present you with a grand gift. You'll witness the Jiang family's ruin with your own eyes, ensuring you'll have no face to meet our ancestors in the afterlife. I left with a sneer. Behind me came a wheezing sound like a broken bellows. But I paid it no mind. Pitiful people are always hateful. My mother-in-law has brought this upon herself. Before I could rest for even a few days, Song-won's scheme soon followed. A woman led a heavily pregnant old woman to my boudoir. Beside her, Jiang Qinlin stood obsequiously, nodding and bowing. Lord Lu, behold, this is my worthless concubine. If you take a fancy, I shall grant her to you this very moment as a secondary wife. My eyes widened in horror. Who knew human malice could reach such depths? Remember, I am Jiang Qinlin's lawful wife. He dared treat me as a commodity to be bought and sold. Lord Lu's beady eyes glowed with a sinister light, yet his expression remained perfectly composed. Mr. Jiang, this seems rather improper. I cannot accept unearned favors. Jiang Qinlin knelt on both knees, his face a mask of ingratiation. You are the Vice Minister of Revenue, yet you condescended to lend me silver, helping my family through a crisis. You even offered to support my advancement. Such a debt of life-saving grace, I have no way to repay. This lowly servant girl is nothing to give. Lord Lu still tried to feign refusal, but Jiang Qinlin had already spoken aloud. If you refuse, I'll kneel to death here today. Lord Lu's lips curled slightly as he reluctantly helped Jiang Qinlin up. with Magistrate Jiang speaking so earnestly. He mused. To refuse would show utter ingratitude. Very well. I'll keep this little bird in my manor, amusing myself with her when idle. The man, now energized, turned his gaze to me. Lu Xiang, quickly, kneel and thank the magistrate. To serve His Excellency, a man of noble birth, is a blessing earned through lifetimes of virtue. Seeing this, Lord Lu dropped all pretense and looked at me openly. This little birdie is quite the looker. A cherry mouth, a tiny waist, she could easily rival the top courtesan in the brothel. I suppose I'll reluctantly take her as a concubine in my chambers. My nails dug into my palms, both exasperated and amused, observing their official fortune palaces. Both had collapsed. Examining their life fortunes, the crimson official luck was nearly spent, while the black aura was as dark as ink. This was no auspicious sign, it foretold the fate of being dismissed from office and meeting one's end. With calamity looming over them, these two were preoccupied with such sordid affairs. Truly laughable. They chattered away, utterly oblivious to my attitude, and left together. Song Wan didn't follow them out. Instead, she approached me. Lu Xiang, you should thank me. If not for me, you'd never have seen a second-rank official in your life, let alone become his concubine. I studied the woman for a moment, then suddenly smiled. Just now, I detected the aura of the fetus in Song Wan's womb. It bore an uncanny resemblance to that so-called Lord Lu. If these two are unrelated, it would be nothing short of strange. Song Wan, the child in your womb isn't Jiang Qinglin's. It belongs to the man we just saw, doesn't it? Song Wan's face tightened. Lu Xiang, not only are you ungrateful, but you dare to slander my virtue. You truly have no sense of propriety. Her steps faltered, and she hurried away. I smiled faintly, pity in my eyes. My husband truly possesses remarkable endurance. For his career, he willingly wears the green hat, serves as someone else's lackey, and raises another man's child. This greenhorn turtle's nature rivals that of a 1,000-year-old tortoise. I wonder if he even understands the full picture. Probably not. In recent days, the dynamics within the mansion have shifted dramatically. Perhaps emboldened by her newfound backing, Song Wan has even brought her brother and mother into the Jiang residence. Jiang Qinlin initially wore a look of reluctance, but the thought of the powerful figure standing behind the woman made him swallow his objections. Song Wan's mother now walked freely through the halls, handling her mother-in-law's beaded bracelet, sleeping in her bed, enjoying the splendor once hers. I couldn't bear to watch this unfold, fearing the old lady might not know. So, one late night, I slipped back into that courtyard crawling with cockroaches and rats. Standing by the bed, I recounted everything in detail. The old woman listened, her breathing becoming ragged, her eyes bulging as if they might pop out. Fearing her rage might overwhelm her heart and truly kill her, I thoughtfully fed her a bit of 1,000-year-old ginseng root. Having done my good deed, I felt a sense of relief wash over me and started to leave. Unexpectedly, the woman suddenly spoke. Please. Kill me. I frowned, my face filled with disapproval. Mother-in-law, I'm married into the Jiang family. I am, after all, your daughter-in-law. You are like my own mother. Disrespecting one's parents is a grave sin, let alone killing them. I am no ungrateful beast. Rest assured, you shall live. Even if you attempt suicide, I will save you. I casually picked up a cockroach and placed it on the old woman's face. This place is lonely. Let this peculiar little creature keep you company. My mother-in-law's skin twitched. She stared at me fixedly, her complexion regaining some color. I turned to leave, murmuring self-mockery. Why am I so kind? You should have passed away days ago. Yet here I am, fighting the king of hell for your life. I, Lu Xiang, truly am a good daughter-in-law. Behind me, someone coughed up blood. I cast a spell to force the blood back into their mouth. Mother-in-law, you really needn't honor me with such a grand gesture. Your daughter-in-law will depart now. After tending to my mother-in-law, I had just returned to the courtyard when I caught sight of someone lurking suspiciously. My gaze sharpened. It was Song Wan's younger brother, Song Ke. The man was obese, his body greasy, crouching low as he crept toward my boudoir. My eyes darted, and a plan formed. Jiang Qinlin was now powerless, his spirits low. As his wife, I ought to lend him a hand. I cast a spell on Song Ke, clouding his vision. The next moment, he marched straight toward Jiang Qinglin's courtyard like a marionette. I followed silently behind him, moving like a cat. Soon, shrieks echoed from inside the house. Song Ke, you're an absolute disgrace. I'm your brother-in-law. Satisfied, I slipped away. The next day, the mansion erupted in chaos. I skipped over to watch the spectacle. Skirts fluttering, Jiang Qinlin sat clutching his swollen rear on the main seat of the hall, his face ashen. Song Wan, the biggest regret of my life was marrying you. You worthless woman. Song Wan shielded her half-dead younger brother behind her. Jiang Qinlin, you can't even walk properly now, you're no better than a woman. My brother kindly offered to entertain you, and you sent men to beat him half to death. The man's eyes blazed red at this nonsensical rant. Divorce. Divorce. I demand a divorce. Song Wan stroked her belly with a cold laugh. Divorce me? Once you divorce me, I'll seek a doctor's blood-activating potion to ensure the Jiang family dies out. Jiang Qinlin gasped for breath, his very breathing trembling with fury. Helpless, his eyes darted wildly before fixing on me. Lu Xiang, it's all your fault. You worthless wench. If not for your damn vows, how could I, Jiang Qinlin, have sunk to this? Like a raging beast, Jiang Qinlin lunged forward, his hand closing around my throat. I spoke abruptly. I hear Magistrate Lu will be bringing me to his home soon. The man's expression froze. He collapsed to the ground, overcome with grief and rage. How could a fifth-rank gentleman like me live such a pathetic existence? How did it come to this? How did it come to this? I stared at the dark aura surrounding the man, a faint smile curling my lips. That crimson official fortune had vanished completely. Then this fallen family's curse should now be fulfilled. Sure enough, in the very next moment, Imperial guards burst into the room. Jiang Qinlin's expression changed. He opened his mouth to speak, only to be forcibly handcuffed. The leader held an imperial edict, his face cold and stern. Imperial edict issued. Investigate 5th-rank civil officer Jiang Qinlin, who colluded with Vice Minister of Revenue Lu Dingbang to form factions for personal gain and embezzle military funds. The evidence is irrefutable, and their crimes defy heaven's justice. According to the laws of our dynasty, the 2 principal offenders shall be executed by Ling Qi. Their assets shall be confiscated, and all male descendants within their 3 clans aged 16 and above shall be beheaded. Female relatives and minor males shall be enslaved as state servants and exiled to the frontier. By imperial decree. Every face paled. Song Wan collapsed like wet mud, her eyes vacant as she murmured softly. It's over. Everything is over. I only wanted that fool Jiang Qinlin to help Lu Dingbang and me raise the child. Never imagined it would lead us straight into the fire. Jiang Qinlin's ashen face suddenly flushed crimson. The man fixed his gaze on Song Wan. You bitch! What did you say? Whose child is in your womb? Song Wan, hair disheveled, burst into laughter. Whose else could it be? Lu Dingbang, the master of this mongrel. Jiang Qinlin, do you think I truly care for you? Had I not been diagnosed with a slippery pulse? Why would I have stooped to being the secondary wife of a good-for-nothing like you? Jiang Qinlin flew into a rage, breaking free from his restraints and kicking the woman hard in the abdomen. Songwan screamed in agony as blood gushed from her lower body. Save me! Quick! Save me! I don't want to die yet. The man paid her no heed, instead turning to me and kneeling. Lu Xiang, I regret it. I truly regret it. I regret betraying you, that's why this calamity befell me. If there's a next life, I'll treat you right. Jiang Qinlin gazed at me hopefully, his eyes pleading. I knew he was nearly mad, clinging to me as his last mental lifeline. But I wouldn't grant his wish. My expression remained calm, yet my words cut like knives. Jiang Qinlin, you don't think being human is an easy thing, do you? For abandoning your birth mother and deserting your wife, you'll suffer in the underworld, enduring all 18 layers of hell. Even if you somehow survive, you'll be reborn as a beast. Jiang Qinlin's eyes blazed as he shouted hoarsely. Lu Xiang, do you think you're off the hook? You are my wife. You're doomed to suffer because of me, reduced to a government slave, exiled to the frontier, living a life worse than death. I scoffed and pulled out the divorce papers. Your Excellencies, I have already divorced Jiang Qinlin. May I leave now? The commander took the paper, glanced over it briefly, then fixed me with a deep look. Of course. Since you're divorced, you're no longer registered under the Jiang household. The lady may go. I curtsied to the man and walked out. Jiang Qinlin stared in disbelief. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. I made you sign a contract selling yourself into servitude. Your Excellency. She's lying. She's lying. Seize this vile wench. The commander kicked the man. You fool. Do you truly think this official is illiterate? That was clearly a divorce decree. Jiang Qinlin collapsed to his knees, all his spirit and vigor vanishing. Ignoring the commotion behind me, I strode straight toward a side courtyard. I pushed open the door. The mother-in-law lay on the bed, utterly devoid of will to live. I waved my hand at the air, conjuring a golden screen before the old woman. Displayed upon it were scenes of the Jiang family members being apprehended. Most conspicuous among them was the shattered Jiang family door plaque. Her breath grew ragged. 2 clear tears streamed from her cloudy eyes before they closed forever. I checked her pulse. She was truly gone. Brushing imaginary dust from my robes, I walked out of the Jiang residence. Just moments ago, my magical power had recovered to 80%. The remaining 20% still eluded me. I knew the promise of that man's untimely demise had yet to be fulfilled. I must witness the consequences of his betrayal. 1 week later, at the execution platform in the market square, Jiang Qinlin and Lu Dingbang stood there, their faces ashen. Their bodies were covered in vegetable leaves and rotten eggs. At that moment, I stood atop a high platform, looking down upon their plight. As noon arrived, the executioners began their work. With practiced skill, they sliced away flesh and blood from both men, yet kept them alive. At first, they screamed in agony, but soon, no sound came from their throats. I witnessed it all. My body suddenly emptied. All vows fulfilled. I reclaimed my full divine power. I thought it would end there. But golden light pierced the sky. My body floated upward uncontrollably. My mind suddenly clear as messages flooded my thoughts. It turned out Jiang Qinlin was my mortal trial. If I passed it, I would achieve perfect merit and ascend to immortality. If I failed, I would perish and fall into reincarnation. Now, having penetrated the human heart, I deserved a place among the immortals. I no longer resisted. My body transformed into golden light and soared into the heavens. The spectacle was so grand that passers-by knelt before me, reverently calling me immortal lady. Even the cold-blooded executioner discarded his great blade and prostrated himself on the ground. Jiang Qinlin's eyelids fluttered, his gaze instinctively turning toward me. I saw it clearly. In his eyes were shock, regret, and unwillingness. I understood he must have remembered something. After all, before meeting me, he was like withered grass rotting in the soil, with no path to follow. It was only after encountering me that he gradually regained new life, even passing the imperial examinations to enter officialdom. Our eyes met for a fleeting moment before I averted my gaze, plunging headlong into the gateway. The past drifted by like a dream. In my first half-life as Lu Xiang, I was trapped beneath the water, enduring endless solitude and arduous cultivation. In my second half-life, I wandered through love, scarred and wounded. Now, at last, I see the light of heaven, the end.